And we back, the Dadadpanther here, and we are going to get into the main event, the conversation of AEW Games brand new trailer teaser, Kalika-lika-low. All right, well, pardon the different tempo for the AEW Games. I've already said in other videos why I need sleep, so we're gonna keep going. Anyways, hit the subscribe button, 3 likes, that's what we're going for. And just recently, even though a leak happened, AEW Games went ahead and showcased that they have 3 games that are coming out. And they gave a little teaser, a little video for the casino game. We don't know much about it. Comes out in the winter, sometime in the winter. Arbery went ahead and let us know the Elite GM game, and we saw some visuals on that. There's a video about that I've already put out. And then now we're going to get into the console game, that's currently in development. And for what we're told is going to be current gen and next gen. That right there is a little, we'll go over that later, but they're going to come up with a game. There's no date. There's no date on the GM game as well. But the big news is Yukes, one of the major companies when you talk about the history of wrestling games. They're in the forefront of it. I want to say maybe they're a close second, only if you're nostalgic really to the Aki engine, if I'm saying it right, AKI. And you can kind of remember the games from the WCW, NWO, that No Mercy. They had the suit that would be the full body suit. They would do the letters of AKI, and they kept that in certain games later on, Easter egg type stuff. But anyways, a lot of people are hoping it was 1 or 2 of those studios. And with the announcement, that was crazy, because you're looking at a upcoming wrestling promotion, television wise, and the way they do their contracts with other stars who have left other divisions, or indie wrestlers who come over, and they're able to do that and stuff overseas as well. They're really doing something as far as especially from the casual wrestling fan. They're doing some stuff that we really haven't seen, and they're winning on the ratings on the shows. For them to do the transition to be like, hey, look, we're going to use a developing team that can do this, that has done this, who has proven to do this, is awesome. So let's get into it, right? Getty, if I'm saying his name correctly, he is the director of this project. He was also the director on No Mercy. And the reason why it's important, other than they gave him the tag of legendary developer, and that just shows the passion of Kenny and the rest of the group. Cody was up there, Aubrey, and their passion of succeeding and just enjoying the game and the gaming culture and things of that nature. He was actually the director on the No Mercy. And that would make it where he's a little bit of that Aki engine. He's a little bit of that part of the developing team that other people kind of wanted. So it's kind of like, hey, look, we gave you both in a way. Now, if you're into indie games, whether on console, mobile, PC, there is a thing that's happening the last maybe 10 or 15 years where you'll get someone, an OG, who's developed games in the past nostalgically, and they're the head of a studio, or they have their own project, whatever the case is. And so you're like, well, this game is going to be awesome because that person's game was awesome and what they worked on, what they touched, and it doesn't always turn to gold. So realistically, I'm not going to give you a review or a conversation without being myself candidly. So am I worried about anything? No, because there's a team of people around. He's done this before. The team that he has done things where it had to be a crunch time, and the whole thing is coming with not just the budget that's given to you, but the management of your time. A lot of great games just aren't managed properly. They miss deadlines, or they have issues where they're just not able to work out bugs or whatnot. But anywho, let's get into a little bit of how we got here, okay? As the trailer plays in the background over and over again. I could be a little wrong, a little bit off in some of the other videos, lack of sleep, but I believe what it was at the time, you had Aki going against Yukes, and they were really testing each other to make the best wrestling product that was out there. And at some point, Aki goes away for maybe financial reasons, and they're no longer in the gaming as far as wrestling in general, or just making games. I don't know if their last one that they did was the engine for Def Jam Vendetta, which later was tweaked and was Def Jam Icon, which again, the first one, Vendetta, we would love to have back again. But anyways, Yukes kept going across making games, and they were making games for WWE. So that's where you started having the SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain, you had the SmackDown versus Raw, all those games that you had, GameCube games. They were putting out games for the WWE. And then at some point, I think they kind of went through some money issues or something, and then 2K Games came in and bought them or did a partnership with them. And so now they're working on games together. I believe the first game they were doing was 2K14. So from the 2K series, they started doing those games. And at some point, I guess maybe they didn't like maybe the loot box system or how the microtransactions were going in. And it's been said by certain people in their camp that they did not feel like they were being used properly. They were not being challenged. Instead of them coming up with how can we set the bar higher, they couldn't because there was no competition. They couldn't be motivated to do what they were doing because what was going on was they were just a developing team that was given tasks. So they were told, hey, listen, this needs to be worked on, fix this, that's it. They weren't being listened to. Their ideas weren't being listened to. And so they had a falling out with 2K Sports or 2K Games. And what ended up happening was, and this is all allegedly, they were just done with it. They were done with it, and both sides mutually agreed that it was over. And I don't think it was a smooth transition where 2K19 was finished or 2K20 was finished, and it was like, hey, we finished this game and now you guys can jump on it. Here's the source codes, here's our information. It was like, all right, let's get our stuff and get out of here. And 2K picked up the pieces on it and wasn't able to finish it, or maybe 2K wanted to change some stuff at the last minute, whatever. I don't think we'll really know, because that's what the gaming industry is a little secretive on that stuff. But you can't deny some of the top games from what this company has done. You know, to the top of my head right now, some of the best games in wrestling games, period, would be games that they touched. It's the SmackDown versus Raw 2007, 2006. Even if you go with the 2K series, the 2014 and 15 weren't bad. They didn't start slipping down and having the glitches and the engine and everything like that until later on. You did get things like they would let you create huge characters, and you know, the created character was getting bigger. So even with the 2K brand there, they were still being innovative. They were still giving us, you know, great games. And to look at their catalog again, they were doing wrestling games from SmackDown all the way until 2K19. So how awesome is that to have that as your developing team putting this together? Now, when I said before, they were like, hey, listen, we felt that we weren't being challenged. We weren't allowed to have competition. Now you've got competition. You have the biggest gaming company, one of them, especially sporting, which is 2K. You know, it's 2K putting out their series of game. I think they picked up golf. They do the 2K basketball series. They obviously do this. And I think they dropped Battlegrounds. But other than them in sports, who else do you have? You got Sony with the MLB The Show. You have Madden that has the FIFA and the Madden. So there's not that many big juggernauts in the sporting realm. And in this game, sports entertainment, they're going to be going up against them. And I mean, who knows how they structure the window? Do they drop on the same date, the same time? You know, I don't know. We don't know. There's not a lot of information out, but it's going to be cool over the next month or year or two maybe. And I'm fine with waiting for it. I don't know about you, put it in the comment, but I'm perfectly fine with waiting on this fine wine that is this game. And I am curious to see what 2K does, how they step their game up. Do they tweak their engine? Do they rebuild their engine, which is not likely? But when I said that Yukes wasn't allowed to come up with their own ideas or kind of do their own thing, yeah, in a way, that's, they wanted someone to go up against, like I said, and they didn't want to just be doing tasks. They wanted to be constantly evolving and creating. So that's why that rumor happened. I want to say it was 2K18, WWE 2K18, or it was the 19, but the conversation was coming out that Yukes had put together a separate team, and that separate team was to work on a wrestling project, and it was untitled what that wrestling project was, but I don't know if that was allowed them to have a loophole to be able to take information and do things of that nature. As we get sidetracked for a second, can you believe that The Undertaker comes out and helps Kurt Angle as I was giving them the business? I can't believe that this, oh my gosh. Oh my God. You know what, that move, oh, look at that. That was horrible. It looked like it was, anyways, not horrible in a bad way. Just the moment I'm going through right now, I'm getting pummeled. But right there, the moment that you see, and Kenny mentioned this, and when he said it, I'm like, I really didn't really think of it that way. When you play, maybe it's just me and Kenny, when you play the newer games, because they're so simulated, you kind of lose that feeling of impact of getting hit and the punches. And I don't know, for some reason on this game, maybe it's the childhood thing, I don't know, but you feel every move. I don't know if it's because you're holding down, you know, the grapple button to get the move off, but when you hit these punches, you it's almost like you feel them, even though it's not HD. So that's going to be interesting if he can capture that element, especially with the new dual sense controller. But continuing what I said, they made their own team, and people speculated for a while this wrestling team would be working on what project. Would it be an arcade game? Would it be this? And then when they separated from 2K, then the conversation was, some people said jokingly it was going to be AEW, and then other people was like, hey, you know, New Japan, and you know, it could be AEW, it could be indie, it could be they create their own wrestlers, like old school Tecmo Bowl, where it was like Miami versus Cincinnati, and they can make up the names and just have fun with it all together. But no, this is what we're getting, and we don't know if they are still coming out with their own grouping on something else that's wrestling. We just don't know, but we're excited. If I get more information, I'm going to put it here, so hit the notification button. Until next time, do you smell Kalika out?